Okay, so what if I told you your job isn't really about the money? What if it's actually a classroom? And the paycheck? Well, that's just a bonus. Today, we're jumping into this really powerful idea from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that might just flip how you think about your career forever. The big idea? Work to learn, not just to earn. And this quote, it just nails the central conflict of the whole book, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the traditional mindset. Job security is everything. But on the other hand, there's this totally different kind of radical idea. Learning is what really matters. I mean, jobs come and go, right? But the skills you pick up, those are yours forever. And that one difference, well, it's the launch pad for two completely different ways of looking at your life and career. So you see, these two philosophies, they set you off on two totally different roads. One path is all about finding that steady, secure job. The other, it's all about constantly learning, getting your hands dirty, and gaining experience. This one choice basically shaped every single career move Robert Kiyosaki ever made. And honestly, it's a choice every single one of us has to make at some point. So let's break it down. Poor Dad's advice? It was pretty straightforward. Specialize. Become the absolute best at one thing, climb that corporate ladder, and whatever you do, hang on to that job security. But Rich Dad's advice? Man, it couldn't have been more different. He said, don't specialize, generalize. You need to learn a little bit about a lot of things, because that's how you actually build something big for yourself. And this right here, this is the classic path Poor Dad was talking about. You know the drill. Go to a good school, get great grades, and then you land a job as an employee. That's the E in the cash flow quadrant. Or maybe you become a self-employed specialist, like a doctor or a lawyer. That's the S quadrant. But here's the catch. Both of those paths are about one thing, trading your time for money. And for Rich Dad, that was the ultimate trap, because you're stuck working for your money instead of having your money work for you. All right, so faced with these two completely opposite paths, Kiyosaki had to make a choice. And his journey is just this fantastic example of what it looks like to put learning way ahead of earning, even when it probably looked crazy to everyone else. Okay, just look at this journey. First, he's got this high-paying job at Standard Oil, and he quits. Why? To go study international trade, because he saw that's where the world was heading. Then he joins the Marine Corps. And sure, flying was part of it, but the real reason? To learn how to lead people, especially when things get tough. After that, he kicks a sales job at Xerox, not for the paycheck, but specifically to face his fear of selling head-on. Every single step wasn't random. It was a strategic move to grab another tool for his tool belt. And this part, this is so important. He wasn't some born salesman. He admits it right here. He was shy. The very idea of selling was terrifying to him. But he absolutely knew, that if he wanted to be successful, he had to learn how to sell. So what did he do? He walked right into the fire. He put himself in a job where he was guaranteed to stumble, maybe even fail, so he could learn and grow. He literally chose his job for the lesson, not the salary. I mean, that's the whole idea of working to learn in a nutshell. Okay, so all of this leads to a pretty huge idea. It's actually way better to be a generalist than a specialist. I know, the traditional path tells us to dig deep and become an expert in one tiny field. But Rich Dad's philosophy is totally different. He says you need to know a little bit about a lot of things. It's like having a full toolbox instead of just one perfect screwdriver. That's where real wealth creation happens.
Wow, this statement really hits hard, doesn't it? The world is just full of incredibly talented people who are struggling financially, and so often they're just one skill away from making it big. You know, Kiyosaki tells this great story about a super talented writer who just couldn't sell any of her books. He suggested she learn sales and marketing, and she got really offended. But think about it, her writing talent alone wasn't enough. She was literally one skill away from becoming a best-selling author instead of just a best writing author.
And this is where something called financial intelligence comes into play. It's not just one thing. It's really a team of 4 key skills working together. You need accounting so you can actually read the story the numbers are telling you. You need investing so your money starts making more money. You need marketing and sales so you can get your ideas out there. And you need to understand the basics of law to protect everything you've built. Get these 4 working in synergy, and you're not just making a living anymore. You're building a fortune. So what are we talking about here? What are the most valuable skills you should be focusing on learning right now? Well, the book lays out a pretty clear roadmap for us. Okay, it all boils down to these 3 pillars. First, you've got to manage your cash flow. Simple as that. You got to understand the money coming in and going out. Second, you have to manage systems. This is all about how things get done efficiently. And third, you have to manage people. That's leadership. If you can get a handle on these 3 things, you can build pretty much anything you want. But of all the specialized skills out there, What's the absolute most important one? It's sales and marketing. Yep, the ability to communicate your ideas, to persuade others, and maybe most importantly, to handle rejection and keep going. Honestly, that's the bedrock of all success. Because at the end of the day, if you can't sell, whether it's an idea, a product, or even yourself, you're just not going to get where you want to go.
All right, so let's bring this all back to you. Because this isn't just about Robert Kiyosaki's story, right? It's about your story. It's about figuring out how you can take these ideas and use them to shape the career and the life that you actually want.
So, I have a real question for you to think about. Your current job, are you there for the paycheck or are you there for a lesson? I mean, really think about it. What skills are you picking up right now that are going to stick with you for life? And if the honest answer is, not a whole lot, then maybe it's time to think about picking up a second gig, not for the extra cash, but for the education. Find a way to learn sales, to learn leadership, to learn how to build something.
Let's wrap it up with this final thought, which is just so true. In the world we live in now, things are changing so fast. What you know today is just not as important as how quickly you can learn something new tomorrow. That ability to learn on the fly, it's priceless. The old playbook of just work hard for money is frankly outdated. The new rule is learn hard for life. And that, my friends, is the real secret to thriving no matter what the economy throws at you.